Hello and welcome to The Fix, and today we're going to have a look at this Mazda 6 2.2 diesel with the Sky Active engine technology. Last time we had a look at this and it had quite a few fault codes on it, and we actually replaced the exhaust pressure sensor. Now we've got other faults coming back on it, so let's go and investigate what the problem is. I'm just going to start the car up. Right, see if I start the car up, and you could see the engine management lights on, the engine inspection required is on. I've just connected the diagnostics to it, and if we read the fault codes, okay, description: manifold absolute pressure, barometric pressure sensor circuit high state. So at the moment it's got a fault with the manifold absolute pressure sensor, which is the MAP sensor. And what we've got to have a look at, if I go through to the live data, right, how you measure this is that you have the ignition on, engine off, and look, we've got the manifold absolute pressure desired, which is 16.35 psi, but the actual pressure we're getting is 36.98, so it's totally off the scale there. And what it is, the atmospheric pressure should be like what it's saying there, between 14.5 to 1636 psi, the atmospheric pressure. So now we're going to have to go and investigate the sensor. Here we have the sensor, that's the MAP sensor, and we're going to have to undo that 8mm bolt to take it out. But before taking the sensor out, I'm going to unplug it and check the voltages going to this to the plug, if all the voltages are all right. So then in that case, if the voltages are not right, that means we've got another problem instead of the sensor. Right, first of all, I'm going to switch on the ignition. Now I'm going to connect my meter up. I've actually put it on 20 volts DC. So if I connect the negative to the battery, and then I'm going to check the voltages coming out of this plug. All the technical information for this car is provided to me by a friend of mine, Tim Stock, who runs a technical helpline here in the UK. As I said, it's a 4-pin sensor and it's a 4-pin plug, but only 3 of the wires are used, and one of them should have a power supply of 5 volts. The other one should have 5 volts, which is the signal wire, and then the earth, the negative. Okay, now I'm going to measure this first one. Yeah, that's 4.67 volts, so that's about 5 volts, which is, if you look there, that's right. Then if I measure the second one, which is 4.98 volts, which is about 5 volts, so both of the wires at the moment have got the right readings. And then the last one, the earth, yep, 0.01, yep, that's a good earth. So that means our electrical part, like going to the sensor, all the voltages from the ECU and everything are all okay. So now we're going to take the sensor out. Okay, I'm going to undo this 8mm bolt. Okay, now I'm going to just pull the sensor out. Just wiggle it round and round, it comes out. Here's our MAP sensor. Now I'm going to get the replacement and put it in. Here's our new sensor. Right, I'm going to put the new one in now. If we just get it in there and just kind of turn it in. If I turn it, that's in now. all the way, and I'm going to put the bolt on. Right, I'm going to put the bolt in, 8mm bolt. Lift that up a bit, and I'm going to plug it back in. It's all plugged back in. Now we go and check inside. Now we've put the other sensor on, and I'm doing the live data reading, and this sensor is reading the same as the original sensor, which is not right, because it should be, like I said before, between 14.5 to 14.5 to 16.36, what it says on there, the manifold absolute pressure desired should be that, but it's 36.68, which is same as the original sensor. What I've noticed is this sensor that I've taken off, it don't look that old, it looks new. So, and it's exactly the same sensor as the one I've put on, and I've bought that one online. So that means that's most probably the same sensor from the same batch that this one has come from. So there might be a batch of whole, sensors. The whole batch of sensors might be faulty, like this one. So I'm going to try and get hold of another sensor now, and then we're going to put that one on and check the readings. Right, now, luckily, a friend of mine had a Mazda CX-5, which has got the same engine as this. So I went and borrowed his sensor. Now, if you look at this sensor, it's a genuine one. Like, it's got all the part numbers and everything on it. So that's a genuine sensor. Now we're going to plug that one into this car and then check the values. I've taken this sensor back out. That's the one we put in, and I've put in the one that we borrowed from a friend. And now we're going to do the readings. Okay, as you can see now, the readings are just what I said it should be, 14.4, 14.5. So the sensor we put in now is, absolutely fine. There's no problems with it. So that means the sensor that we bought, right, has got a problem, which is this one, right, which is not reading the right readings. And when I looked at it, this looks exactly the same as the sensor we took off. So the previous guy who owned this car must have bought the sensor online where I bought it from. So that means a whole batch of these sensors must be faulty or made wrong. So now we're going to start the car up. Let's start it up. Now I'm going to do a delete fault code on it. What I'll do, one go, I'm going to do a complete scan of all the systems, which is a health report. We'll scan the whole system out and then delete everything, and then from there we don't have to go in individually and keep deleting one at a time. All right, see them faults there? It's got on the units like the smart city brake and the start stop transmission and anti-lock. So I'm just going to clear everything. Okay, now it says normal. All the ECUs are normal. All the fault codes have been cleared in the whole system. So let's start it up. There should be no engine management lights on now, as you can see. Nothing on at all. We've got our revs, full revs. It's all revving up okay. No faults whatsoever. So now it's been cured. See, whenever you're doing diagnostics and involves changing sensors and stuff, my motto is don't guess, always test. That's why it's so important to test, because like I've seen a lot of workshops do this. Like they read the fault code and they say, okay, we've got a fault code for the mass absolute pressure sensor, which is the MAP sensor, so let's go and change it. Now, without doing a test or anything, they just buy another sensor and put it in, and then it has exactly the same fault code. Now the problem's not been solved because they haven't done any tests, so they don't know if it was the sensor or the circuit or anything. That's why we actually tested the circuit and we read the readings on the plug that's coming from the engine ECU, which was 5 volts. It had to be on the 2 pins because it's a 3-pin. It's a 4-pin sensor, but we used 3 pins of it, and one of them had negative on it, and 2 of the pins had 5 volts, which is right. So therefore, we know that the circuit is right. So the sensor must be faulty. But if we didn't test that, then we would have been suspicious of what's actually gone wrong with the car. We would have been going around in circles. So because we knew that the data was good, and when I put the other sensor in and it was reading the same as the old sensor, then we knew that the sensor was faulty, right? A lot of the times, most people won't have another car to try the sensor on from, but just to prove the point, I got the sensor from my friend's car and we put it on there, and I showed you what the reading should be, and that's the reading of that sensor, which was 14.5 psi atmospheric pressure. So just keep that in mind. Always test everything so you're sure what the problem is. Otherwise, you'll be going around in circles, not knowing what the fault is and wasting time and effort and money on buying sensors and things. This way, we proved that the sensor was bad, and because we've done a thorough test on it. So always trust your diagnosis. So now we found out that the actual sensor we bought, the map sensor, was faulty. And after replacing it with one borrowed off a friend's car, it's running completely fine, and all the data we received from that sensor is correct, what it should be, the 14.5 atmospheric pressure. So if you like the video and you haven't already done, that is subscribe to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, and also click the bell icon so you could get all the future videos of Fix. And remember, don't jinx it, fix it.